Stop living in reaction. Stop waiting for permission. Everything you see, feel, and experience is responding to your vibration right now. Frequency transcends force. Alignment dissolves struggle. Your state of being dictates reality. You can fight it, or you can master it. This is not philosophy. This is your operating system for life. And if you don't understand this, you are losing before you even begin. Listen carefully, because every second you waste is energy you will never get back. Most people live their lives proving things to the wrong people. They chase validation, they chase applause, they chase recognition, and they wonder why they feel exhausted, empty, and unfulfilled. Let me tell you the truth. Success does not start outside. It starts inside. The world responds to your frequency, not your effort. It responds to your alignment, not your argument. You have a choice. You can keep proving to people who will never be satisfied, or you can stop. You can align with your own frequency. You can stop proving. And when you do that, when you stop proving, you stop wasting energy. You stop attracting resistance. You start moving effortlessly toward what you want. That's the key. Let's be clear. Alignment beats effort every time. I'll repeat it. Alignment beats effort every time. No matter how hard you push, no matter how many hours you grind, if you are out of alignment, you are fighting life itself. You are swimming upstream in a river that is meant to carry you forward. High performers understand this. High performers don't chase recognition. They don't wait for applause. They move in harmony with their goals, not with the opinions of others. That's the difference between struggle and flow. You see, most people think effort is everything. They think force is power. They think proving is credibility. Wrong. It's not about force. It's about alignment. It's not about being liked. It's about being in resonance with your purpose. It's not about proving a point. It's about proving yourself to yourself. That's the key. You don't need their permission. You don't need the world to approve. You don't need a nod, a comment, or a trophy. Alignment is internal. Recognition is external. Stop chasing the outside. Command the inside. Here's a practical exercise. Right now, pause. Take a deep breath. Feel your body. Notice where tension exists. Where does your energy feel stuck? That is your signal. That is the vibration you are emitting. That is the place you are not aligned. You have a choice. Ignore it or investigate it. Most people ignore it. Most people rationalize it. Most people bury it in distractions and busy work. Not you. Not today. You feel it, you acknowledge it, you take action. That's how alignment begins. And let me tell you, action is not just doing more. Action is doing the right thing. Action is deliberate. Action is aligned. Think of alignment as the foundation, and action as the structure you build on top. You can work 16 hours a day and get nothing if your foundation is weak. You can work 1 hour a day in alignment and move mountains. That's the power of internal mastery. That's the power of vibrational authority. Let's reinforce this. Repeat after me. Alignment beats effort every time. Alignment beats effort every time. Alignment beats effort every time. Say it until it lands in your mind. Say it until it becomes reflex. Let it guide your decisions. Let it guide your habits. Let it guide your focus. This is how you stop proving and start becoming unstoppable. Here's a real-world example. Look at the top performers in any field. Athletes, CEOs, creatives. They don't perform to prove they're capable. They perform because they are aligned. They are in resonance with their talent, their environment, and their purpose. They move naturally. Recognition follows. Applause follows. Validation comes, but it's a byproduct, not the goal. Most people get this backwards. They chase applause, they chase recognition, they chase approval, and they exhaust themselves in the process. You don't have to. You have a choice. Stop chasing. Start aligning. Now, let's get tactical. Here are 3 steps to start aligning today. Audit your attention. What are you feeding your mind? Who are you proving to? What energy are you chasing that isn't yours? Awareness is the first step to alignment. Identify the energy drains. Eliminate them. You don't need their permission. Cut them loose. Feel your frequency. Pause multiple times a day. Close your eyes. Scan your body. Scan your mind. Where is tension? Where is resistance? That is where a misalignment lives. Name it. Feel it. Accept it. Decide what aligned action you will take next. That's discipline. That's mastery. Act with intent. Small actions, perfectly aligned, beat massive actions done in chaos. Decide on one aligned step today. Take it, then another, then another. Don't overthink. Don't wait. You have a choice. Every moment is a choice. Alignment is always available. Recognition is optional. Effort without alignment is wasted energy. Alignment with purpose is unstoppable momentum. Let me emphasize this again because it is vital. It's not about working harder. It's about working aligned. It's not about proving you're right. It's about proving your resonance. It's not about chasing recognition. It's about commanding your frequency. Internal mastery always precedes external success. Always. The world reacts to your vibration before it reacts to your argument. Now, here's the catch most people miss. Alignment requires honesty and courage. You must face the truth of your current state. You must admit when you are out of resonance. You must confront the habits, the people, and the distractions that are draining you. That is uncomfortable. That is the point. Comfort is the enemy of alignment. Growth is uncomfortable. Discipline is uncomfortable. The path of alignment is disciplined. That's the key. Another real-world example. Imagine an entrepreneur launching a new business. They can spend months seeking validation, tweaking their pitch for approval, trying to prove themselves to investors, family, and peers. Or they can focus on the product, the market, and their internal signal. The first approach leads to wasted time, exhaustion, and disappointment. The second leads to clarity, momentum, and exponential results. That is the power of alignment over proving. That is the power of frequency over force. Let's repeat the mantra one last time. Alignment beats effort every time. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. You don't need approval. Alignment beats effort every time. Let it sink. Let it guide your decisions. Let it guide your day. Let it guide your life. In this chapter, you've learned to stop proving and start aligning. You've learned that recognition is optional, but internal mastery is mandatory. You've learned that your frequency dictates your results more than your effort ever could. You've learned the 3-step process. Audit your attention, feel your frequency, act with intent. And you've learned that discipline, honesty, and courage are non-negotiable. You mastered the first key to internal mastery. Now we move to the next level. The next chapter is not about alignment alone. It's about the cost of seeking validation, the silent drain that is killing your energy, and how to reclaim it.
Most people live their lives looking outside themselves for permission.
They seek validation. They chase approval. They want others to tell them they are enough, and they wonder why they feel drained, anxious, and stuck. Let me tell you something you must hear and feel deep in your bones. Your approval is not required. Your alignment is mandatory. Say it with me. Your approval is not required. Your alignment is mandatory. Say it again. Let it sink. Let it guide your actions. Let it dictate your energy. That's the key. Seeking validation is the silent thief of energy. It doesn't knock. It doesn't scream. It whispers, day after day, "Am I enough? Do they like me? Do they approve?" And while you're busy proving yourself to everyone else, your life passes by. You sacrifice your energy. You sacrifice your focus. You sacrifice your future. That's the cost. That's the silent cost. And it's deadly. You have a choice. You can keep chasing approval, keep asking for permission, keep aligning your actions with other people's expectations, or you can stop. You can reclaim your power. You can take full responsibility for your state. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You don't need their recognition. You only need your alignment. That's the key. Here's the truth. When you give your energy to external validation, you are creating misalignment. You are unconsciously sabotaging your outcomes. You are attracting the wrong experiences, the wrong people, and the wrong results. It's subtle. You might not see it, but the energy you send out is never wasted. The universe notices. Life responds. And if your vibration is tied to someone else's approval, you are constantly chasing, never arriving. Let's get practical. Here are the habits that silently drain your power and keep you seeking validation. Constantly checking your phone. Social media is the ultimate feedback loop. Likes, comments, shares. They're little doses of approval. Each time you check, you tie your energy to someone else's reaction. That's misalignment. Stop it. Stop feeding your energy to others. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. Over-explaining yourself. Every time you justify your decisions, your actions, or your choices, you are giving power to external judgment. High performers don't explain. They align. They act. They execute. They don't wait for validation. That's the key. People-pleasing. Saying yes when you want to say no. Over-committing. Putting other people's happiness above your own. That is energy theft. That is misalignment. That is proof you are letting external opinions dictate your state. Stop it. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. Repetition creates transformation. Listen carefully. Your approval is not required. Your alignment is mandatory. Your approval is not required. Your alignment is mandatory. Your approval is not required. Your alignment is mandatory. Say it slowly. Say it fast. Say it in your mind. Say it in your body. Let it guide every action, every decision, every thought. That's the key. Now, let's explore what alignment actually looks like in real life. High performers, leaders, athletes, creators, they do not ask the world for permission. They do not wait for validation. They feel the signal inside. They feel their frequency. They act in resonance. That is the difference between stagnation and momentum. That is the difference between mediocrity and mastery. Here's a simple practice you can start today. Morning alignment audit. Every morning, before your phone, before emails, before the chaos begins, sit quietly. Ask yourself, am I acting to prove something, or am I acting in alignment? Feel your answer in your body. The tension will tell you. The hesitation will tell you. The energy you feel is your signal. Follow it. That's discipline. That's internal power. That's transformation. Check every decision. Whenever you make a choice, pause. Ask, am I doing this because I want to, or because I want approval? Awareness is the first step. Action is the second. Discipline is the bridge between the two. It's not about weak people-pleasing. It's about disciplined alignment. That's the key. Detach from opinions. Every time someone judges, criticizes, or doubts you, remind yourself you don't need their permission. Their opinion is not a measurement of your worth. Their judgment is a reflection of their frequency, not yours. You have a choice. Choose alignment. Choose your own state. Choose mastery. Let's illustrate this with a real-world example. Imagine an entrepreneur pitching a business idea. Most people obsess over whether the audience, investors, or critics will approve. They tailor the pitch to please. They seek validation. They lose their original vision. They dilute their energy. They compromise alignment. The result? Mediocre outcomes. Now, imagine a different approach. The entrepreneur tunes inward. They feel their signal. They speak from resonance. They present with confidence, clarity, and alignment. They don't worry about approval. They act. They attract the right response naturally. Momentum builds. Results manifest. Alignment beats proving every time. That's the key. Remember this: external validation is optional. Internal alignment is mandatory. External applause is fleeting. Internal power is eternal. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. You don't need recognition. You need no one to tell you that you are worthy. Your energy is your currency. Your alignment is your authority. Protect it. Guard it. Invest it wisely. Here's the challenge most people fail to meet. Breaking the habit of seeking validation is uncomfortable. You will feel awkward. You will feel anxiety. You will feel fear. That's normal. That is the vibration of growth. That is the price of alignment. Most people quit. Most people run back to approval. Not you. You will sit in the discomfort. You will feel it. You will act anyway. That's discipline. That's mastery. That's power. And let me reinforce it one final time. Your approval is not required. Your alignment is mandatory. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. You don't need to justify yourself. You don't need to explain. You don't need applause. You only need alignment. You only need resonance. You only need discipline. That is the key. In this chapter, you learned the silent cost of seeking validation. You discovered the habits that unconsciously drain your energy. You practiced awareness, detachment, and deliberate action. You understood that your frequency is more powerful than force, and alignment is more important than effort. You mastered the understanding that external approval is optional, but internal alignment is mandatory. You took the first real step towards reclaiming your power. Now, you are ready to move to the next layer, learning to feel the future before you live it, using emotion as your signal and your GPS for action.
Most people treat emotions as inconveniences. They suppress them. They rationalize them. They push them away. They say, I don't have time for this. They say, I can't feel now. They wonder why their life feels chaotic, why their decisions fail, why opportunity slips through their fingers. Here's the truth you must understand. Your emotions are signals, not inconveniences. Every feeling you have is a message. Every sensation is a vibration. Every reaction is a signpost pointing you toward alignment or misalignment. That's the key. You have a choice. You can ignore your emotions, let them dictate you unconsciously, or you can learn to read them, understand them, and convert them into decisive action. That's discipline. That's power. That's mastery. You feel first, then you see. You feel first, then you see. Repeat it. Embed it. Make it reflex. This is the difference between reacting to life and commanding it. Let me break it down. Emotions are your internal GPS. Fear, excitement, hesitation, energy surges, tension, they are all indicators. They tell you where you are aligned and where you are misaligned. They tell you when you are stepping toward your future or stepping away from it. You ignore them at your own risk. You interpret them incorrectly at your own peril. But when you learn to read them correctly, you gain foresight. You feel the future before you live it. That's the key. Here's the first step. Name the emotion. Don't run from it. Don't judge it. Don't label it as good or bad. Name it. This is fear. This is excitement. This is doubt. This is anticipation. Naming is power. It converts chaotic energy into readable signals. You have a choice. Mislabel and suffer, or label and act. You have a choice. Next, observe its source. Ask yourself, where is this emotion coming from? Is it my internal signal, or is it external influence? Too often, people feel anxious or reactive and blame circumstances or other people. That is weakness. That is distraction. That is wasted energy. True mastery is internal. You don't need their permission. You don't need anyone else's validation. Your emotional GPS comes from you. That's the key. Once you've named and traced it, ask, what is the signal telling me to do? Emotions demand action. They are not passive. Fear may be saying stop, prepare. Excitement may be saying go, expand. Tension may be saying adjust, align. Every emotional signal carries a direction if you are willing to listen. Most people miss it. Most people suppress it. Most people rationalize it. Not you. Not today. You feel the signal, then you see the outcome, then you act. That's transformation. That's mastery. Let's reinforce it. You feel, then you see. You feel, then you see. You feel, then you see. Say it. Say it slowly. Say it fast. Let it sink into your mind, your body, your instincts. Let it guide every decision you make, every action you take, every choice in your life. Repetition is how you build reflex mastery. That's the key. Here's a practical exercise to train this skill. Daily emotion check. Pause 3 times a day. Close your eyes. Breathe. Scan your body. Where do you feel tension, excitement, or resistance? Name it, label it, accept it. Don't rationalize. Don't suppress. Just feel. That is the first step in reading your internal GPS. Ask the signal. Once you've felt it, ask, what is this trying to tell me? Don't jump to conclusions. Don't overthink. Just listen. Feel the energy. Observe the direction it points. This is how high performers anticipate outcomes before they appear. Convert feeling into action. Every emotion carries a demand for action. Fear may mean prepare or adjust. Excitement may mean pursue or expand. Hesitation may mean pause, evaluate, align. Discipline is acting on the signal correctly, without delay, without rationalization. That is mastery. Let's look at a real-world example. A top entrepreneur is preparing to pitch an investor. They feel tension in their chest, a flutter of fear in their stomach. Most people would panic, over-prepare, or over-explain. Not this entrepreneur. They label the feeling. This is fear. This is anticipation. This is energy telling me the stakes are high. They observe. The fear is internal, not external. They feel the future. It's telling them to focus, rehearse, and align their presentation with clarity. They act. The pitch succeeds. The outcome is not random. It was signaled. They felt first, then they saw, then they acted. That's the key. Here's the harsh truth most people never face. Ignoring your emotional signals is costly. It leads to misalignment, poor decisions, wasted time, and lost opportunities. Life responds to your vibration, not your excuses. You have a choice. You can feel, understand, and act, or you can ignore, rationalize, and fail. That's the reality. You don't need their permission. You don't need validation. You need mastery of your internal signal. That's the key. Another example is athletes. The greatest performers don't rely on logic alone. They feel, they anticipate. Their body, mind, and energy read the vibration of the environment. They sense the timing, the opportunity, the opening before it happens. They act in perfect alignment. The rest of the world calls it instinct. The truth? They trained to feel first, then see, then act. You can do the same. That's the key. Let's repeat this principle again because repetition builds transformation. You feel, then you see. You feel, then you see. You feel, then you see. Your emotions are not obstacles. They are guides. They are signals. They are GPS coordinates. Ignore them and wander. Follow them and arrive every single time. That is discipline. That is power. That's mastery. Now here's how to integrate this daily. Morning alignment practice. Start your day by scanning your body. Label feelings. Anticipate signals. Decide aligned action first. Energy follows clarity. Action follows alignment. That's the key. Decision audit. Before every major choice, pause. Feel your internal signal. Ask what the energy is telling you. Act in accordance. Do not rationalize. Do not debate. Action transforms the signal into reality. You have a choice. You feel first, then you see. Evening reflection. At the end of each day, review your actions. Were they aligned with your emotional signals? Did you feel, then see, then act? Adjust, refine. Repetition builds mastery. You don't need permission. You only need alignment. That's the key. In this chapter, you learn to treat emotions as signals, not inconveniences. You learn to label, observe, and act on them. You learn the mantra that builds foresight. You feel first, then you see. You learned practical steps to integrate emotional GPS into daily life. You understood that ignoring the signal leads to misalignment, wasted energy, and lost opportunity. You understood that mastery is internal. You mastered the art of feeling before seeing. Now, we move to the next principle. The real power of life is not force, it is frequency. You've learned to sense your future internally. Next, you will learn to shape it externally, effortlessly, through vibrational mastery.
Most people believe life responds to effort. They think if they push harder, work longer, grind more, they will get the results they want. They chase outcomes through force. They hustle blindly. They struggle. They exhaust themselves. And they wonder why success remains just out of reach. Let me tell you the truth. Life does not respond to force. Life responds to frequency. Your vibration, your internal state, your alignment, it dictates everything. That's the key. You have a choice. You can keep forcing, pushing, struggling, and burning out, or you can start resonating. You can learn to match the frequency of opportunity. You can learn to embody the energy of what you want. You can stop fighting reality and start working with it. That's discipline. That's power. That's mastery. Force fails. Frequency wins. Force fails. Frequency wins. Repeat it. Let it sink in. Let it guide every decision, every action, every interaction. Here's the problem. Most people confuse effort with results. They equate struggle with progress. They measure hours, intensity, and repetition, believing that more force equals more outcomes. Wrong. It's not about force. It's about frequency. It's not about struggle. It's about resonance. You could work 16 hours a day and still fail if your vibration is misaligned. You could work 1 hour a day in perfect alignment and move mountains. That's the key. Let's break it down. Frequency is your internal energy, the signal you emit to the world. Force is the external push, the effort you exert to try to make life conform. Force is chaotic. Force is draining. Force creates resistance. Frequency, however, is magnetic. Frequency attracts. Frequency opens doors. Frequency creates momentum without struggle. That's why high performers, leaders, and entrepreneurs never rely on force alone. They operate in frequency first, then let force act as a tool, not a crutch. That's the difference. Between exhaustion and flow, that's the key. Here's a real-world example. Entrepreneurs launching businesses. The typical approach: they force outcomes. They pitch obsessively. They push products on the wrong market. They stress. They fight. They get rejection. Results are delayed. Opportunities slip away. Misalignment reigns. Now, the high performers approach. They feel the signal. They resonate with the right market. They act at the right time. They move in harmony with opportunity. Effort is applied only in alignment, not out of desperation. The results? Accelerated, exponential, effortless in appearance, but grounded in deliberate resonance. Force fails, frequency wins. Force fails, frequency wins. You have a choice. You can remain in the world of struggle, constantly pushing and proving, constantly reacting and forcing, constantly exhausting yourself. Or you can elevate your frequency. You can master your vibration. You can become magnetic. You can attract what you want instead of chasing it. That's the key. Let's get practical. How do you raise your frequency? Here are actionable steps. Emotional alignment. Monitor your emotions constantly. Feel tension, excitement, clarity, and resistance. Label them. Align your actions with positive, high-vibration feelings. Stop doing things out of fear, obligation, or need for approval. That's misalignment. That's low frequency. High frequency starts with how you feel. You have a choice. Focus your attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. Stop wasting focus on chaos, distractions, or things beyond your control. Concentrate on opportunities that resonate. High-frequency individuals are strategic about their attention. They know it is currency. Discipline is attention management. That's the key. Embodied action. Act in harmony with your state. Don't force outcomes. Don't overpush. Take aligned steps that feel natural. Small, deliberate, resonant actions compound into results far faster than brute force. This is how leaders, athletes, and creators dominate without burning out. Force fails, frequency wins. Force fails, frequency wins. Here's another example. Athletes in peak performance. Look at a tennis player hitting a perfect serve. They don't look like effort. They are relaxed. They are aligned. Their body, mind, and energy are synchronized. That is frequency in action. Contrast this with a beginner, tense, overthinking, forcing the serve. The result? Mistakes, misfires, and frustration. Force fails, frequency wins. Every time. That's the key. You see, force creates resistance. Force fights life. Force meets opposition. Force triggers stress, anxiety, and friction. Frequency, however, dissolves resistance. Frequency moves with life, not against it. Frequency opens doors effortlessly. Frequency attracts people, resources, and opportunities aligned with your energy. That's the difference. That's the principle that separates high performers from the masses. That's the key. Now, I'm going to give you a practice to start mastering frequency today. Daily frequency audit. 3 times a day, stop and feel your internal state. Ask yourself, am I pushing or am I resonating? Am I forcing or am I aligned? Label the difference. Adjust. Recalibrate. Energy follows awareness. Frequency follows alignment. Action alignment. Before every significant task, pause. Feel the signal. Ask, does this action resonate with my purpose and my energy, or am I forcing it out of pressure, fear, or obligation? Only act when aligned. Force is secondary, frequency is primary. That's the key. Environment calibration. Surround yourself with high-frequency people, situations, and resources. Remove distractions, low-vibration interactions, and chaos. Frequency compounds. Energy is contagious. Alignment attracts. Discipline is curating your environment for resonance. That's the key. Let's repeat the mantra for transformation. Force fails, frequency wins. Force fails, frequency wins. Force fails, frequency wins. Say it out loud. Say it in your mind. Say it until it becomes your automatic response to challenge, pressure, or decision-making. Let it guide every move, every interaction, every choice. That is mastery. That is power. That is control. Here's a critical truth most people never accept. Working harder is not enough. Pushing more, forcing outcomes, grinding endlessly, these are low-frequency strategies. They work sporadically. They lead to burnout, misalignment, and stagnation. True power comes from mastering your frequency first, then letting effort follow naturally. That's the key. You have a choice. You can remain stuck in struggle, or you can learn to resonate and attract. Remember, frequency is invisible but undeniable. Life responds to vibration before it responds to action. Your state of being dictates the quality of your results. Align internally first, act externally second. Apply effort strategically, not desperately. That's the principle of high performers. That's the principle of mastery. That's the key. In this chapter, you learned that life does not respond to force. You learned that pushing harder often creates resistance. You learned that frequency is your internal signal, your vibration, your alignment, and your key to effortless momentum. You learned practical steps to feel, audit, and act in resonance. You learned that force fails and frequency wins. You have a choice. You can force or you can resonate. You mastered the principle of vibrational authority. Now we move to the next stage. Stop chasing, start magnetizing. We will explore how to embody attraction, eliminate struggle, and naturally draw your desired outcomes toward you.
Most people go through life chasing what they want. They run after success, people, opportunities. They push, hustle, and force. They expend energy in a million directions. And they wonder why results are slow, inconsistent, or non-existent. Let me tell you the truth. You are either attracting energy or you are repelling it. You are not neutral. You are not passive. Your state of being is magnetic, or it is repulsive. That's the key. You have a choice. You can keep chasing life like a desperate follower, or you can become a magnet. You can cultivate energy that draws the right people, opportunities, and circumstances toward you effortlessly. You can stop forcing, stop exhausting, stop proving. You can start magnetizing. Magnetize your life. Don't chase it. Magnetize your life. Don't chase it. Repeat it. Feel it. Internalize it. Let it guide your every move. Here's the hard truth most people never face. Struggle is misalignment. When you are constantly pushing, forcing, and hustling, it is a signal that your energy is off, a signal that you are moving against reality, not with it. High performers understand this. Leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, they stop forcing, they stop chasing, they master their internal state first. They embody what they want, and then it comes to them naturally.
That's the key. Let's break this down. Attraction is a result of vibration. Repulsion is a result of tension. If you are anxious, desperate, or stressed, you are repelling opportunity. If you are calm, confident, and aligned, you are magnetic. That's not theory, that's reality. Energy responds to energy. Life responds to vibration, not struggle. Force fails. Frequency wins. You have a choice. You can repel or you can magnetize. Here's how to start magnetizing today. Embody what you want. Stop pretending externally. Stop chasing results. Begin by aligning your internal state with your desired outcome. Feel it first. Think it second. Move as if it already exists. Magnetism begins in the mind, body, and energy. Every action, every posture, every thought must reflect what you want, not what you lack. That's discipline. That's mastery. That's the key. Remove resistance. Check your internal and external state. Where is tension? Where is struggle? What thoughts, habits, or relationships drain your energy? Cut them, purge them, replace them with alignment, clarity, and resonance. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. You only need your internal authority. Struggle signals misalignment. Eliminate it. That's the key. Focus on frequency, not effort. People confuse hard work with magnetism. You can grind endlessly and repel everything you want. Instead, cultivate magnetic states. Practice calm, confidence, certainty, and presence. Align your energy. Let action follow naturally from your state. Discipline is maintaining high vibration consistently, not forcing outcomes. That's the key. Let's illustrate this with a real-world example. A top entrepreneur wants investment for a new venture. Most founders chase meetings, emails, and pitches with desperation. They force attention, they push, they plead. They exhaust energy and repel investors. Now imagine the high-frequency founder. They align their energy first. They embody confidence, vision, and certainty. They focus on their craft, their clarity, their resonance. They present naturally, magnetically. Investors notice. They are drawn in. Effort exists, yes, but as a natural extension of their alignment. Force is minimal. Attraction is maximum. Magnetize your life. Don't chase it. That's the key. Another real-world scenario: relationships. Most people chase attention, affection, or approval. They pursue, over-communicate, and struggle. They push energy outward in desperation. What happens? They repel connection. They attract imbalance. The high-frequency individual? They stop chasing. They cultivate presence, confidence, and alignment. They radiate the energy they want in a partner. They embody the qualities they seek, and naturally the right people are drawn in. Magnetism is internal. Attraction is automatic. That's the key. Here's a tactical exercise for daily magnetization. Morning alignment. Begin your day with presence. Sit quietly. Breathe. Visualize the life you want. Feel it as if it exists already. Anchor yourself in that vibration. Let your actions flow naturally from this state. Energy audit. Pause periodically throughout the day. Ask yourself, am I projecting alignment or desperation? Am I attracting or repelling? Adjust immediately. Reset your posture, your tone, your focus, your thoughts. Discipline is maintaining high resonance. That's the key. Evening reflection. End your day reviewing moments of struggle versus magnetism. Celebrate where you embodied attraction. Note where you pushed, forced, or chased. Learn, refine, repeat tomorrow. Magnetism compounds over time, just like discipline. Magnetize your life. Don't chase it. Let's reinforce this principle. You are either attracting energy or you are repelling it. Struggle signals misalignment. Magnetism begins internally. Force fails. Frequency wins. Magnetize your life. Don't chase it. Magnetize your life. Don't chase it. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Let it guide your posture, your focus, your voice, your decisions, your state. That is power. That is mastery. That is authority. Here's the critical insight most people overlook. Results follow energy, not effort. You can chase success endlessly and never arrive. You can push, plead, force, and grind, and only repel what you want. Magnetism requires patience, presence, and alignment. Discipline is acting from high frequency, not desperation. Attraction follows embodiment. That's the key. Remember, struggle is the signal. If life feels hard, if doors seem closed, if outcomes evade you, check your frequency. Realign, adjust, elevate. Act from resonance, not from force. Your energy is your ultimate leverage. Master it. Protect it. Cultivate it. That's how winners operate. That's how leaders attract. That's how creators manifest. That's the key. In this chapter, you learned the cost of chasing and the power of magnetizing. You discovered that struggle signals misalignment, while high-frequency embodiment attracts naturally. You explored daily techniques to embody what you want, remove resistance, and focus on frequency over effort. You internalized the mantra, magnetize your life, don't chase it. You learned that attraction begins internally and manifests externally. You mastered the principle of magnetism. Now you are ready to take the next step, emotional authority, learning to master your state under pressure, stay aligned under chaos, and command results without desperation.
Most people wander through life without control over their attention. They allow chaos to dictate their focus. Social media, notifications, gossip, drama. These things hijack your energy. They scatter your thoughts. They drain your mental power. They steal your vibration. And you wonder why results are slow, why momentum is weak, why opportunity slips through your fingers. Let me tell you the truth you must hear. Where your focus goes, energy flows. That's the key. You have a choice. You can give your attention to distractions, noise, and low-vibration energy, or you can deliberately focus on what matters. You can control your attention, control your energy, and control your life. That's discipline. That's mastery. That's power. Attention is currency. Spend it wisely. Attention is currency. Spend it wisely. Repeat it. Let it resonate. Let it guide every decision, every thought, every action. Here's the harsh reality. Most people waste their attention on chaos. They scroll endlessly. They react impulsively. They let others' dramas and opinions hijack their energy. They chase notifications and validation. They give away their focus for free. That's why most people feel tired, anxious, and unproductive. That's why most people fail to reach their potential. You don't have to live like that. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. You can reclaim your attention. That's the key. Let's break it down. Attention is not just a mental tool, it is your most valuable energy. Every moment you focus on chaos, distraction, or negativity, you lower your vibration. Every moment you focus on opportunity, growth, or alignment, you raise your frequency. Attention compounds. Energy compounds. Momentum compounds. Discipline is directing your attention to high-vibration areas consistently. That's the key. Here's a practical example. Imagine two entrepreneurs. Both have the same skills, the same resources, the same opportunities. The first entrepreneur spends hours on social media,
Worrying about what competitors are doing, checking emails obsessively, responding to every message immediately. Energy scattered, focus lost, results slow. The second entrepreneur prioritizes attention. They focus on their craft, their goals, their aligned actions. They eliminate distractions. They maintain presence. Energy concentrated. Focus sharp. Results accelerated. Attention is currency. Spend it wisely. That's the key. You have a choice. You can allow your attention to be hijacked by low-vibration chaos, or you can deliberately reclaim it. You can invest it in alignment, growth, and mastery. You can train your focus. You can condition your mind to ignore what doesn't serve you. That's the path of high performers. That's the path of leaders. That's the path of winners. That's the key. Let's talk about practical techniques to master attention. Daily attention audit. Start each day by identifying where your focus will go. Write it down. Be specific. Allocate your attention deliberately to the tasks, relationships, and actions that matter most. Schedule time for distractions, but treat them as controlled. Discipline is conscious allocation. That's the key. Eliminate low-vibration triggers. Identify what drains your energy. Social media, gossip, negative people, mindless entertainment. Cut it. Reduce exposure. Protect your energy. Your attention is precious. Guard it fiercely. You have a choice. You don't need their permission to limit access. That's the key. High vibrational rituals. Create routines that raise your frequency and focus your energy. Morning meditation, intentional journaling, goal review, physical movement, deep work sessions. These rituals anchor your attention to high vibration states. Repetition strengthens discipline. That's the key. Let me reinforce it. Attention is currency. Spend it wisely. Attention is currency. Spend it wisely. Say it slowly. Say it fast. Say it while performing tasks. Say it in your mind. Let it guide your focus, your decisions, your energy. Let it become your reflexive approach to life. That's discipline. That's mastery. That's power. That's the key. Here's a critical insight most people never accept. You cannot control external chaos, but you can control your attention. You cannot stop notifications, problems, or drama from arising, but you can choose how to respond. Your frequency, your vibration, and your energy are determined by where your focus goes. Misalignment begins with scattered attention. Alignment begins with deliberate focus. That's the key. Let's explore another real-world example. Athletes in competition. A champion does not allow external noise to steal focus. The crowd, the pressure, the opponent, they exist, but the athlete's attention is on the task, on alignment, on rhythm, on frequency. Energy concentrated. Action optimized. Results manifest. Non-champions allow distractions to scatter their attention. Chaos rules. Effort wasted. Results compromised. Control your attention. Control your life. That's the key. Another example, creatives and leaders. Top performers prioritize attention rigorously. They do one task at a time. They eliminate low-value inputs. They focus deeply. They guard energy like gold. Discipline is attention management. Alignment follows. Momentum accelerates. That's the key. Now here's a practical exercise you can start immediately. Morning focus ritual. Spend the first 20 minutes of your day deciding where your attention will go. Write it down. Prioritize the high-value tasks. Commit. Energy follows attention. Midday reset. Take a 5-minute pause. Scan your focus. Identify distractions. Refocus deliberately. Reset your internal state. This is high-frequency attention management. Evening reflection. Review your day. Where was attention wasted? Where was it optimized? What patterns need correction? Daily auditing strengthens discipline. Repetition compounds results. That's the key. Remember this mantra throughout the day. Attention is currency. Spend it wisely. Attention is currency. Spend it wisely. Let it guide every interaction, every task, every thought. Train yourself. Discipline yourself. Elevate your state. Align your frequency. That is power. That is mastery. That is life. That's the key. In this chapter, you learned that where your focus goes, energy flows. You discovered the cost of wasted attention and chaos. You learned practical techniques for auditing your focus, eliminating low-vibration distractions, and creating high-frequency rituals. You internalized the mantra, attention is currency. Spend it wisely. You understood that mastery over your attention is mastery over your life. You mastered the principle of attention as currency. Now you are ready to elevate further. Chapter 7, The Discipline of Patience, where we explore timing, delayed gratification, and the magnetic power of persistence without force.
Most people define success incorrectly. They think it's money. They think it's connections. They think it's credentials. They measure life by titles, degrees, bank balances, or applause. They chase results outside first, then wonder why they never feel powerful, fulfilled, or unstoppable. Let me tell you the truth. Success is not external. Success is internal. Success is energy alignment. That's the key. You have a choice. You can chase external markers and drain yourself, or you can master your energy first and let results follow naturally. You don't need permission to create your reality. You don't need validation to dominate your field. You only need mastery over your internal state. That's discipline. That's authority. That's power. Energy creates results. Energy creates results. Energy creates results. Repeat it. Say it out loud. Let it resonate. Let it guide every decision, every action, every interaction. Here's the problem. Most people mismanage their energy. They give it to distractions, drama, negativity, and low-frequency situations. They react, resist, and overexert. They work harder, hustle longer, grind more, but the results are slow, inconsistent, or non-existent. Why? Because energy is the currency of life. You can't force outcomes if your internal energy is misaligned. You can't manipulate results with desperation. You can only cultivate alignment, then let the external world respond naturally. That's the key. Let's break this down. Energy is your internal state, your focus, your frequency, your vibration. When aligned, energy flows freely. When misaligned, energy leaks, drains, and dissipates. Energy manifests as clarity, presence, confidence, and magnetism. Energy creates momentum. Energy amplifies results. You can copy all the strategies in the world. You can study the tactics of the wealthy or famous. But if your energy is low, scattered, or reactive, results will be inconsistent. Alignment precedes manifestation. That's the key. Here's a real-world example. Top CEOs. Most CEOs in struggling companies work overtime, micromanage, react to every email, and push without strategy. Their energy is scattered. Their teams feel tension. Momentum stalls. Now the high-performing CEO. They manage their energy first. They prioritize alignment, focus, and frequency. They operate from clarity, presence, and authority. Decisions come effortlessly. Teams move efficiently. Results multiply without brute force. Energy creates results. Energy creates results. That's the key. Athletes provide another clear example.
A top sprinter doesn't simply run faster by brute force. They optimize rest, nutrition, mindset, and focus. They cultivate internal energy. They align body, mind, and state before executing. The result? Consistent victories. The result? Peak performance. Force alone doesn't create results. Energy does. That's the key. Even creatives, artists, writers, musicians, operate the same way. Inspiration, clarity, and flow cannot be forced. They are cultivated through energy alignment, mindset, environment, rituals, and focus. The result? Masterpieces. The result? Influence. The result? Impact. Energy creates results. Not desperation, not struggle, not random effort. That's the key. So, how do you master your energy? Here are practical steps. Daily energy check. Begin each morning assessing your state. Are you scattered or focused? Calm or anxious? Reactive or proactive? Label your energy. Decide how to elevate it. Alignment first, action second. That's discipline. That's mastery. Prioritize high vibration activities. Identify what strengthens your energy and what depletes it. Spend time on tasks, people, and projects that resonate with your frequency. Limit exposure to low vibration influences. Energy is finite. Protect it. That's the key. Energy rituals. Develop daily habits that cultivate high frequency. Meditation, journaling, breathwork, visualization, movement. These are not optional. They anchor your energy, sharpen your focus, and magnetize results. Discipline is ritual. Alignment is authority. That's the key. Response management. Energy is not only internal, it's relational. How you respond to others' chaos, criticism, or manipulation affects your frequency. Choose responses deliberately. Stay centered. Maintain calm authority. Reacting lowers energy. Aligning strengthens it. That's the key. Let's reinforce this principle. Energy creates results. Energy creates results. Energy creates results. Say it while walking. Say it while working. Say it while making decisions. Embed it in your body, your mind, and your state. Energy is the seed. Action is the vehicle. Results are inevitable. That's discipline. That's mastery. That's power. That's the key. Here's a critical insight. External success is an echo of internal alignment. Money, recognition, opportunities, they are not causes, they are effects. The cause is energy management. The cause is focus. The cause is internal state. Neglect your energy, and results are delayed. Master your energy, and results accelerate effortlessly. You have a choice. You don't need permission to align. Energy creates results. That's the key. Let's consider the tactical application. Morning alignment ritual. Start each day by centering yourself. Breathe. Visualize your desired outcomes. Feel the energy as if it already exists. Anchor yourself in that frequency. Let your actions flow naturally from it. Energy first, effort second. Midday reset. Pause. Scan your state. Identify drains, disruptions, or scattered energy. Adjust immediately. Recenter, refocus. High performers audit energy throughout the day. This is mastery in practice. Evening reflection. Review your day. Where did energy lead results? Where was energy mismanaged? Learn, adjust, repeat. Repetition compounds energy alignment. That's the key. High-frequency individuals, CEOs, athletes, creatives, leaders, operate this way. They don't push randomly. They don't chase outcomes. They manage energy first. Everything else follows. The secret they know, and most people ignore, is simple. Energy precedes results. Energy creates results. Energy creates results. Embed it, live it, dominate it. That's the key. Here's the brutal truth most people ignore. No strategy, no network, no amount of money can compensate for low-frequency energy. Struggle, stress, chaos, and distraction always erode results. Alignment, presence, and mastery of energy always amplify results. You have a choice. You can ignore energy and grind, or you can master energy and thrive. That's discipline. That's authority. That's power. That's the key. In this chapter, you learned that success is not external. It is energy alignment. You discovered that CEOs, athletes, and top performers dominate because they manage energy first. You explored practical steps to audit, elevate, and protect your energy. You internalized the mantra, energy creates results. Energy creates results. Energy creates results. You understood that alignment precedes manifestation. You have a choice: chaos or control, energy or struggle, force or frequency. That's the key. You mastered the principle that results follow energy. Next, we will explore Chapter 8, The Discipline of Silence, where you learn to harness internal stillness, amplify focus, and act with unstoppable power.
Most people live their lives on autopilot. They react instantly, emotionally, destructively. Someone criticizes them, they explode. Someone ignores them, they panic. Someone challenges them, they resist. Every reaction comes from misalignment, not strategy. Every reaction leaks energy. Every reaction creates chaos. Let me tell you the truth. Reactivity is misalignment in motion. Response is conscious, deliberate, and aligned. That's the key. You have a choice. You can react unconsciously to every stimulus in your life, or you can respond deliberately. You don't need permission to choose. You don't need validation to pause and align. You can control your state, your energy, your vibration, and by doing so, you control reality itself. That's discipline. That's authority. That's power. Response builds reality. Reaction destroys it. Response builds reality. Reaction destroys it. Repeat it. Say it out loud. Embed it in your mind. Let it guide your every move. Here's the harsh reality. Most people confuse action with effectiveness. They assume that reacting quickly equals strength, speed, or mastery. They think emotional outbursts are signs of authenticity. They think aggressive confrontation is power. But here's the truth. Reactive behavior always amplifies chaos. Reaction leaks energy. Reaction multiplies misalignment. Reaction destroys relationships, momentum, and results. That's the cost. That's the lesson. That's the key. Let's contrast this with aligned response. Aligned response is slow, deliberate, and conscious. It is anchored in your internal state. It considers the outcome you want and acts from your frequency, not your fear. It is not hesitation. It is mastery. It is presence. It is authority. When you respond from alignment, you turn chaos into opportunity. You turn challenges into leverage. You turn obstacles into momentum. That's the key. Let me give you a real-world example. A high-level executive receives harsh feedback during a critical meeting. Most people react defensively, lash out, or argue. Energy scattered, respect lost, opportunity wasted. The aligned executive, they pause, they breathe, they observe their internal state. They choose words that serve their vision. They respond calmly and strategically. Energy preserved, authority maintained, results
accelerated. Response builds reality. Reaction destroys it. That's the key. Here's how to train yourself to respond instead of react. Pause before action. Every time you feel a trigger, anger, frustration, fear, stop. Take a deep breath. Center yourself. Assess the situation from your aligned state, not your emotional reflex. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. You can step back and reclaim your energy. That's the key. Feel the vibration. Recognize your emotional GPS. What is your energy in this moment? Are you elevated, grounded, calm, or scattered, anxious, reactive? Label it, adjust it, align it. Energy dictates outcome. Response requires awareness. Reaction ignores it. That's the key. Choose deliberately. Decide on the action that serves your objectives, frequency, and long-term alignment. Not the momentary emotion, not the ego, not the need to prove yourself. Choose consciously. Align action with energy. Discipline over impulse. That's the key. Reinforce with repetition. Every interaction, every decision, every response is an opportunity to practice mastery. Repeat your mantra. Response builds reality. Reaction destroys it. Response builds reality. Reaction destroys it. Say it, feel it, live it. That's discipline. That's mastery. That's the key. Here's a practical exercise you can implement immediately. Daily reflection. End each day by reviewing situations where you reacted versus responded. Identify the triggers. Learn from each. Adjust your approach tomorrow. Improvement compounds over time. That's the key. Micro-pause technique. Whenever a triggering stimulus arises, count to 3 before speaking or acting. Feel your energy. Assess your objective. Respond from alignment, not reflex. Discipline strengthens with repetition. That's the key. Aligned journaling. Track emotional triggers, responses, and outcomes. Observe patterns. Plan intentional responses. Over time, you develop automatic alignment. Reaction becomes rare. Response becomes instinct. That's the key. Another real-world scenario: relationships. Most conflicts escalate because people react instead of respond. Words are fired impulsively. Energy leaks. Resentment accumulates. Misalignment grows. Aligned individuals pause, breathe, feel the energy, and respond deliberately. They preserve authority. They communicate clearly. They build trust and influence. Energy maintained. Results amplified. Response builds reality. Reaction destroys it. That's the key. Let's examine a personal mastery insight. Every moment of conscious response reinforces your internal frequency. Every reaction reinforces chaos and misalignment. If you consistently choose aligned response, you elevate your energy. You attract opportunities. You gain respect. You multiply results. Response is a muscle. Train it, strengthen it, discipline it. That's the key. Now, here's the core takeaway you must internalize. Your external world mirrors your internal state. When you react impulsively, your world reflects chaos. When you respond consciously, your world reflects order, alignment, and results. Life is not random. Life is vibrational. Your response dictates the reality you experience. You have a choice. You don't need permission. You can master your state. You can master your results. That's the key. Remember, response builds reality. Reaction destroys it. Response builds reality. Reaction destroys it. Say it, feel it, act on it, repeat. Embedded in your daily practice. Your mastery over response is mastery over life. That's discipline. That's authority. That's power. That's the key. In this chapter, you learned that reactivity is misalignment in motion. You discovered that conscious response is the only way to preserve energy, maintain authority, and amplify results. You explored practical exercises, pausing, breathing, feeling your vibration, and choosing deliberate action. You internalized the mantra: response builds reality, reaction destroys it. You understood that your internal state creates external results. You mastered the principle of aligned response. Next, we will explore Chapter 9, The Discipline of Detachment, where you will learn to release attachment to outcomes, control fear of loss, and operate from unstoppable freedom.
Most people live life blind. They see what's in front of them. They chase results that are visible. They chase outcomes, achievements, status, and approval. They ignore what cannot be seen. They ignore the invisible patterns, the underlying principles, the vibrational currents that govern reality. And then they wonder why effort is wasted, momentum is slow, and results are inconsistent. Let me tell you the truth. Life has rules you cannot see, but can feel. Alignment with these rules accelerates outcomes. That's the key. You have a choice. You can ignore the invisible forces and struggle, or you can sense them, align with them, and let outcomes flow naturally. You don't need their permission to tune in. You don't need validation to master your frequency. You can feel the currents before they manifest. You can act from alignment instead of desperation. That's discipline. That's authority. That's power. The invisible guides the visible. The invisible guides the visible. Repeat it. Say it aloud. Let it anchor in your body, mind, and state. Let it shape your actions. That's the key. Here's the problem. Most people operate only in the visible. They react to problems, chase opportunities, and rely on brute force. They fight against reality. They push, struggle, and resist. Results are slow, frustration mounts, energy leaks. This is misalignment in action. The invisible, the underlying patterns, the subtle signals, the vibrational currents, is ignored. That's why most people work harder but achieve less. That's the cost. That's the lesson. That's the key. Let's break it down. The invisible is the unseen force that organizes life: vibration, energy, rhythm, and frequency. It is not metaphysical fluff. It is a principle of reality. Those who sense it before acting navigate life with efficiency and precision. They make fewer mistakes. They conserve energy. They attract opportunity. They move in flow. That's the key. Here's a real-world example. Top artists and inventors, they do not create randomly. They sense patterns in human behavior, emotion, and desire before putting brush to canvas or pen to paper. They align with currents others cannot perceive. Their work resonates. Their influence spreads. They manifest results effortlessly. Energy first, execution second. That's the key. CEOs and leaders operate similarly. They sense trends, market shifts, and team dynamics before acting. They anticipate moves, adjust strategy, and preserve energy. They do not react impulsively. They respond to the invisible currents shaping outcomes. Force alone never produces mastery. Alignment with the invisible produces authority. The invisible guides the visible. That's the key. Athletes, too, understand this principle. Elite performers do not rely solely on brute strength or effort. They tune into rhythm, flow, timing, and pattern. They sense opponents' moves, environmental cues, and internal state. They anticipate, they align, they perform with precision. Reaction is lag. Alignment is power. The invisible dictates success. That's the key. You have a choice. You can continue chasing visible outcomes and struggle endlessly, or you can learn to sense invisible patterns and flow with them. You can feel the future before it arrives. You can act from awareness, not desperation. That's mastery. That's discipline. That's freedom. The invisible guides the visible. The invisible guides the visible. Repeat it. Let it anchor in every decision, every task, every moment of your life. That's the key. So, how do you cultivate sensitivity to the invisible? Here are practical steps. Observe patterns daily. Notice repetitions in behavior, outcomes, and energy. What consistently leads to success? What consistently creates failure? Pattern recognition is the first step towards sensing the invisible. Discipline is attention to subtlety. That's the key. Develop internal awareness. Your body, mind, and emotions are sensors for the invisible. Notice how different actions or decisions feel internally before acting externally. Align action with internal resonance. Reaction without internal guidance is wasted energy. That's the key. Use visualization and intuition. Imagine the outcomes you desire. Feel them in your body. Sense the path of least resistance. Intuition is a bridge to the invisible. Action grounded in felt reality produces results. Discipline is trusting this inner guidance. That's the key. Let's reinforce the principle. The invisible guides the visible. The invisible guides the visible. Say it often. Apply it consciously. Make it a lens through which you view every interaction, every project, every goal. Force cannot outperform alignment. Effort without resonance is wasted. Energy first, execution second. That's the key. Here's a critical insight. The invisible is always active. Life responds to it constantly. Misalignment creates resistance. Alignment creates flow. Those who master the invisible experience accelerated results, clarity, and momentum. Those who ignore it struggle, resist, and stagnate. You have a choice. You can fight reality, or you can align with the underlying currents. That's the key. Practical exercise. Daily alignment scan. Start your day by sensing what feels aligned and what does not. Notice internal tension, excitement, or resonance. Use this to guide your actions. High-frequency energy signals alignment. Low-frequency energy signals misalignment. Adjust accordingly. Pattern journaling. Track visible results and their preceding invisible causes. Note triggers, energy states, and frequency at the moment of action. Over time, you'll see patterns others miss. You'll anticipate outcomes naturally. That's mastery. Intuitive pause. Before major decisions, pause. Feel the current. Sense the invisible signals. Act only when aligned. Discipline compounds through repetition. That's the key. Another example. Leaders in innovation. They anticipate social, technological, and cultural shifts before they are visible to the masses. They act before opportunity becomes obvious. Their energy is tuned to the invisible. Results manifest with effortless momentum. Reaction lag. Alignment wins. The invisible guides the visible. That's the key. Remember this mantra. The invisible guides the visible. The invisible guides the visible. Say it in the morning, before action, during challenges, and in reflection. Internalize it. Let it guide strategy, energy, and behavior. Align first. Execute second. That's the path of mastery. That's discipline. That's power. That's the key. In this chapter,
You learn that life has unseen rules, patterns, and currents that govern outcomes. You discovered that alignment with the invisible produces effortless results, while ignoring it leads to struggle. You explored practical exercises, daily observation, internal sensing, visualization, journaling, and intuitive pausing. You internalized the mantra, "The invisible guides the visible." You mastered the principle of aligning with unseen currents. Next, we will explore Chapter 10, The Discipline of Unstoppable Action, where we convert alignment, energy, and awareness into relentless execution and tangible results.
Most people fail not because they lack knowledge, not because they lack resources, and not because they lack vision. They fail because they delay, they hesitate, they wait for permission. They wait for conditions to be perfect. They wait for someone else to validate their worth. Let me tell you the truth. Delay is the enemy of alignment. The future is felt, not postponed. That's the key. You have a choice. You can wait and stall, or you can act now. Act in harmony. Act in resonance. You don't need their permission. You don't need approval. You don't need perfect conditions. You only need alignment and courage. That's discipline. That's authority. That's power. The signal waits for no one. The signal waits for no one. Repeat it. Let it anchor in your mind. Let it push you to immediate action. That's the key. Here's the brutal truth. Opportunity is always present, but it cannot wait for hesitation. Energy alignment produces signals. The universe responds to your frequency, not your excuses. Delay disrupts the signal. Delay kills momentum. Delay ensures you remain stuck. The only way to convert alignment into results is through immediate, decisive action. That's the key. Look at top performers, CEOs, athletes, artists. They do not wait for perfect conditions. They feel the opportunity, sense the alignment, and act instantly. Their action is deliberate, conscious, and resonant with their internal state. They create momentum that compounds. They produce results that overwhelm observers. Momentum waits for no one. The signal waits for no one. That's the key. Here's the problem most people face. They confuse planning with action. They strategize endlessly. They gather information endlessly. They refine endlessly. And yet, results are minimal. Why? Because action was postponed. Energy was aligned, but it was never converted into execution. Alignment without action is potential wasted. That's the key. Let's break it down practically. Action must be immediate, intentional, and aligned. Not rushed, not reactive, not forced. Aligned action converts the energy you've cultivated into tangible results. That's the key. Here's a real-world example. Entrepreneurs launching a product. Most wait for perfect timing. They polish, tweak, and second-guess. Competitors move ahead. Momentum is lost. The aligned entrepreneur feels the market signal, senses resonance with opportunity, and executes immediately. Energy meets action. Results manifest. Momentum compounds. The signal waits for no one. The signal waits for no one. That's the key. Athletes provide another example. A sprinter cannot feel the start line, sense the optimal launch, and delay their movement. They must respond instantly to the starter's signal, moving in harmony with timing and alignment. Hesitation costs milliseconds, and milliseconds decide victory. Action synchronized with internal and external signals wins. Delay loses. That's the key. Even creatives must practice this principle. Writers, musicians, and artists often feel inspiration and then procrastinate. That moment of resonance passes, diluted by distraction, self-doubt, or overthinking. Aligned creatives act immediately on inspiration. The work flows, momentum compounds.
The visible result is extraordinary because the invisible energy was converted instantly. Act now. Act in harmony. Act in resonance. That's the key. So, how do you train yourself to act without delay? Here are practical steps. Daily vibrational practice. Begin each day by tuning in to your internal state. Feel what is aligned. Feel what resonates. Identify the opportunities and the actions that correspond to your frequency. Then act immediately. Energy is alive. If you delay, it dissipates. That's the key. Micro-actions. Break aligned action into immediate, non-negotiable micro-steps. One action at a time. Executed in alignment. Momentum compounds. Small steps taken instantly produce enormous results over time. Discipline is built in motion. That's the key. Eliminate hesitation triggers. Identify what causes delay, fear, perfectionism, overthinking, waiting for approval. Neutralize them. Replace hesitation with immediate alignment-based action. Do not debate internally. Execute externally. That's the key. Anchor with repetition. Before any major task, repeat the mantra. The signal waits for no one. The signal waits for no one. Feel it in your body. Let it move through your nervous system. Let it push you forward into action. Repeat until movement becomes instinct. That's the key. Here's a real-world scenario. High-performing sales professionals. They feel an opportunity, client interest, market gap, emotional resonance, and act immediately. They reach out. They follow up. They execute steps aligned with the moment. Those who hesitate lose the deal. Those who act align their energy with opportunity. Momentum multiplies. The signal waits for no one. The signal waits for no one. That's the key. Now here's the critical insight. Action without alignment is wasted effort. Alignment without action is wasted potential. Only when energy, frequency, and alignment are converted into immediate action do results compound. You have a choice. You can remain passive and misaligned, or you can act with unstoppable, conscious force. That's discipline. That's authority. That's power. That's the key. Practical exercises for unstoppable action. Morning activation. Immediately upon waking, identify your aligned intentions. Take the first aligned action within the first 30 minutes. Do not delay. Momentum compounds from the first move. That's the key. Micro-execution audit. Throughout the day, notice moments where hesitation creeps in. Pause. Feel alignment. Act immediately. Track your execution. Repeat. Reinforce. Build unstoppable momentum. That's the key. Evening reflection. Review your actions. Identify moments where aligned energy was delayed. Learn. Adjust. Tomorrow, act faster. Act with more clarity. Act with full resonance. Action is the bridge from potential to results. That's the key. Another critical point. Fear of failure often creates delay. Fear convinces you to wait, to plan endlessly, to hesitate. Aligned action dissolves fear because it is grounded in energy and resonance, not desperation or ego. Action becomes inevitable. Results follow naturally. The moment you feel alignment, act. Do not wait. Do not debate. The signal waits for no one. The signal waits for no one. That's the key. Let's internalize the mantra one final time. The signal waits for no one. The signal waits for no one. Say it before work. Say it before decisions. Say it before interactions. Let it activate you. Let it compel you into motion. Let it build unstoppable momentum in your life. Delay is the enemy. Action is mastery. Alignment plus action equals results. That's the key. In this chapter, You learned that delay is the enemy of alignment. You discovered that immediate action, aligned with energy and resonance, is the only way to convert potential into results. You explored practical exercises, daily vibrational practice, micro-actions, elimination of hesitation, and constant reinforcement. You internalized the mantra, "The signal waits for no one." You mastered the principle of unstoppable alignment-based action. You now have the knowledge, the energy, and the framework to convert internal alignment into tangible outcomes. You have a choice. You can wait or act. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You act. That's discipline. That's authority. That's power. That's the key. Everything you learned in this book comes down to one truth. Your reality is responding to your vibration right now. Force is failure. Frequency is power. Alignment is unstoppable. You feel the future before you live it. You stop proving. You stop chasing. You stop reacting. You magnetize. You focus. You respond. Energy is currency. Attention is leverage. You see the invisible. You act on the signal. And here's the challenge. From this moment forward, for the next 24 hours, you will notice your vibration, feel your signal, and act immediately. No excuses, no delay, no permission needed. You are either living in alignment or you are wasting your life.